From Mamma Mia, welcome to The Spill, your daily pop culture fix. I'm Laura Brodnick, and today I'm joined by two special guests.
I'm Brie Player. I'm the executive producer of Mamma Mia's interview podcast, No Filter.
And I'm Manisha Warren, executive producer of The Spill.
There's three of us today because we have three huge topics to cover, so we needed three minds together to get through this. First of all, there is a new rom-com coming to cinemas soon, and it stars two people who were supposed to be the biggest stars in Hollywood before they both fell off the face of the earth for various reasons. We're going to get into that. Plus, Elizabeth Olsen is on the press trail at the moment for her new movie, and she's given us a little insight into her relationship with her very famous sisters. So we're going to talk about that, but first, it's that special time of year.
The Christmas carols are out.
It's Christmas time, which means that all of Hollywood is a flurry with who is getting Tom Cruise's infamous Christmas cake. Are you guys across this, or do you have real lives?
Oh my God, no, of
No,
course.
absolutely none of us
the
do.
cruise cake.
I'm across
No
it.
way.
I love that he just sort of doesn't like to speak that much about his personal life, but this is the detail that we're all
Well,
like
this
really...
paints him in a very big light.
Yeah.
So if anyone who's not across, every year, this has been happening for decades, every year Tom Cruise sends out his infamous Christmas cake, which is a white chocolate coconut bundt cake. It retails for $130 US, so around $240, $250 Australian. And it's from this tiny bakery in LA who apparently are very overwhelmed with how interested everyone is in this Christmas cake. And it goes out to all of his past co-stars, and they all make a real big song and dance about it.
Yeah, who is going to be on this list is the topic of conversation because, you know, people who have received it in the past, Dakota and Elle Fanning, they're on the list. Angela Bassett's on the list, Tom Hanks, Jimmy Fallon, Glenn Powell. So everyone just really wants to get their name cemented on the bundt cake recipient list.
I feel like that's Glenn Powell's biggest accolade, right? Do you see when he was on the press tour for Top Gun Maverick?
Yes.
All he was talking about was being on the list?
Being on the cruise cake list. And also joined by Miles Teller, who was his co-star.
Yes.
Another one who's also on the cruise cake list is Kirsten Dunst.
Yes.
Because they did an interview with a vampire together back in 1994. Well, he hasn't forgotten. She still gets it every year.
Yeah, that, and she speaks, again, very highly of it. She said it's a big deal in the house every year when the cake arrives, and she said the whole family shouts out, the cruise cake is here. Here's my thing. Is it like a weird cult almost? Like they all have this really practiced thing, whereas if they're in an interview or at an event and someone brings up the cruise cake and the lists are out this year and it's a whole big thing, they all of a sudden start talking in this manic way, kind of like I am now, about how great the cake is. It's the greatest thing they've ever tasted. They can't believe he sends it to them. It's so nice. Like, do you think that they're like everyone's too scared to say anything about the cake, or they feel like they have to put on a song and dance?
Well, maybe you're just worried you drop off the list if you don't
I mean,
make
you
a
don't
song
want
and
to
dance
drop
about it.
off the list. You want to stay on the cruise cake list, and like I do think it probably is delicious
For $200.
But also like they're good
Top-tier
flavors. Top tier celebrities, but it does. I like that it comes from a small family-owned bakery. It's
Support
like a small,
local.
It is support local. Is from this small family-owned bakery around the Calabasas area called Don's Bakery, and apparently they get really overwhelmed with orders. But all year round, people want I want to try the cruise cake.
I mean, I do. I want to just know what is it so good that it's making people act crazy? Because I don't think Tom Cruise, when he first started this list, I don't think that he went into bakeries looking for what would be the Christmas cake. I think one of his assistants, or he has all his family working for him, one of his sisters just came upon that cake and sent out 100 in the first
And was like,
batch.
this will do.
And this is fine.
You don't think it was like his personal favorite?
Maybe. I mean, I don't think that makes cake. I think he's devoid of any kind of joy outside of like jumping off buildings and doing weird stuff like that. Like I can't think that he's the kind of person who has a favorite cake.
I feel like there's a docuseries in this, like Tom's journey to this cake.
To
Like,
this
what's
cake.
the connection? I have to know.
Well, apparently they've had to like sometimes take the phone off the hook back in the day, this bakery, because it just rings off the hook, not just with orders, but with weirdos like us who are like, we're covering the Tom Cruise cake story. Can we get a bit of an insight?
And like a who's on the list. It must be fascinating though for the bakery. Like, you know, when you hear florists talk around, Valentine's Day, who's ordering flowers for their wife, who's ordering flowers for their mistress. If I worked at that bakery, I'd be so fascinated each year to be like, ooh,
I can't believe
look who's dropped off the
with
list.
how well placed all their sources are that TMZ doesn't have that list.
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because they get like death certificates from morgues straight away.
Yep.
They get divorce papers from the moment they go to court. They have people's hospital records. I'm just saying it's harder to get Tom Cruise's cake list than it is to get someone's sealed medical records.
Well, they must pride themselves on their confidentiality. They're like, Tom is not going to continue this agreement unless we keep it to ourselves.
And you know what? that cruise cake list probably keeps them afloat the whole year round.
Oh, I bet.
Like they could shut.
They open
11
one day
months
a year.
They sold that many. Well, also one person who dropped off the list is Brooke Shields, and she's spoken about that. She said she was on the list for a while. She had a good 10-year run, got the coconut cake every year, and she was very happy about it. And now she's off the list. She's like, I want to get back on that cake list. It's the best cake I've ever had.
Again, Brooke, just go buy your own cake.
buy
You're
your
a
own
strong,
cake.
independent woman, and he's done way worse to her. Like, I can't believe she was on it for 10 years, and I wonder if she said something in the press about what happened, because remember, Tom Cruise spoke really negatively about her in the press when she talked about having postpartum depression and said she was going on medication. And Tom Cruise, again, not affiliated with her, not a doctor, famously, Tom Cruise then went on this big press tour about how dangerous it was for her to take medication, how awful it was, and then she got really upset, rightfully so. And then they did like kind of reconcile years later, and I guess that's when she got on the cake list. And now 10 years later, she just dropped off with no explanation. And she's the only one brave enough to talk about it.
It's wild that she wants to get back on it this much. Like, I'd just be like, you know what? I'll just get my own cake this year.
I think, that's what I mean. Like, the way that they all talk about it with such reverent tones, it just makes me feel like the cake is short for something. Like, it's some sort of like in for like some sort of secret society that they have. I wonder also if maybe it's because Brooke talked about the kind of logistics around it. So she said when she started getting the cake, it said Merry Christmas from Tom, Katie, and Suri. And then she said once they broke up, the card that year just read from Tom. It's not really groundbreaking, but she's the first one to. Everyone else really toes the line with him and doesn't say anything. So maybe that's why she dropped off the list.
It's like Fight Club. We don't talk about cake.
Yeah, we don't talk about the cake.
If you get the cake, you don't talk about it.
I guess keep an eye on socials this year for every celebrity who posts about the cake and makes a big deal of it, because it is sort of seen as this like badge of honor that they're all weirdly obsessed with.
Totally. It's like you're on the list. It's important.
Yeah, I would never send anyone cake like that. Seems like a lot of logistics.
I don't think Tom's.
You don't think he's boxing those cakes up?
It's his intern.
Doing little handwritten notes?
You never know. Sometimes people who have really big successful careers want like a little creative outlet.
don't know.
Like some beading.
That's Tom's creative outlet, the cake.
So there's a new rom-com on the cards, and we get very excited about new rom-coms here at The Spill. This one is called You, Me and Tuscany. It's coming to cinemas next year in April. And basically, such a relatable tale. It's about a girl called Anna. She's, I think she's like late 20s, early 30s, that kind of vibe. She's given up on her dreams of becoming a chef, her long-held dreams. And then as you do, she meets a rich Italian man called Matteo, who happens to have an empty villa in Tuscany because, that's just sort of every Tuesday night. So then when she finds out about this villa, she decides she's going to jet off to Tuscany and just sort of take up residence in this house. Her best friends, I'm getting all this from the trailer, by the way. I haven't actually seen the movie. It's months away. She goes to Tuscany, decides to live in his house, and then his mum walks in and is like, what on earth are you doing here? And so she comes up with this whole lie that she's his fiancée to basically avoid going to Tuscan jail. And then Matteo's cousin rocks up because the whole family now think they're engaged. Matteo has no idea this is going on. His cousin, who is very, very hot, rocks up, and obviously there's sparks. And that's sort of the premise of like now she's saying she's Matteo's fiance. She's into the cousin. That's sort of the premise of the movie, set in beautiful Tuscany. Does this sound like something you would want to go watch?
Well, when I first heard the premise of this and watched the trailer, I thought it was going to be like a Netflix Friday night drop.
I was just about to say,
right?
Surely this is a straight-to-TV film.
No, this is going straight to cinemas in April, which, I mean, we keep saying bring back rom-coms. I don't know if this is going to be the one to like resurrect the genre.
That didn't sell it for you?
I mean... Hey, look, I'll go see it. I'm not turning down people falling in love in Tuscany.
I'll go see it too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be there, gold class, bottle of champagne between me and my bestie.
Yeah. Something tells me we're not the audience they're trying to sway. Like we're already
we're on board.
We're on board. So that all sounds fun. Rom-coms are back, etc., etc. What's really interesting about this is the two actors who are the lead characters, which is Halle Bailey, better known as the star of the live-action Little Mermaid, and Regé-Jean Page, better known...
The Duke
was someone else want to
Hastings.
The Duke. You both sat up so straight that I was like, do we all have to say it together?
Yeah.
The Duke of Hastings.
Hottest man alive.
From the first season of Bridgerton. Two very hot people who I am personally very excited to watch them fall in love. But super interesting when I was watching the trailer, because when I was looking at them, I remembered a point in time where they had both secured these huge roles, these movies. Well, her movie came out, his TV show came out. They became these cultural moments. And it felt like they were going to be the next two big things in Hollywood, that they were going to be the two big movie stars. And then for different reasons we're about to get into, they both kind of disappeared from the spotlight. And I guess the one that people are most kind of caught up is what happened to the Duke after Bridgerton, because that's a bit of
it's a sore point.
It's a cautionary tale, some would say.
It's a cautionary tale. It did deeply affect me when he left the show. I have to say, I actually was so bitter about it that I didn't enjoy season 2.
Really?
Yeah.
John O'Bailey didn't do it for you?
No, he didn't.
What?
I feel like every time I come on the spill, I'm now down talking Jonathan Bailey, who I love, so this isn't right. But yeah, I was so deeply disappointed that he left, and I just couldn't enjoy it because I felt like my crush from the show had gone.
And in all those Bridgerton threads, there are always those memes being like, where are all these projects that Regé-Jean went? Well, now you've got one.
Totally. But you know what I'm going to say? Look who's come crawling back to the female gaze, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Thought he was too good for it. Well, here's the thing. I don't mean to be a reggae apologist, but I do feel that maybe he just got some bad advice, because that show came out, Bridgerton came out, he was the lead. People loved Phoebe Dynevor, who was the female lead actress, but the obsession with him as an actor was so intense. I do know people who cried because they're like, I'm married and I'll never feel that love again, or people who just like were like, I can't date anymore because like no one's going to be the Duke. You talked about the fact when he left the show you were heartbroken. So was one Kimberly Kardashian. She posted like, I will never get over this. I can't watch a show anymore. She was so upset. Like, we as a collective society went through grief because there was this whole thing that he wasn't coming back for season 2 because they wouldn't pay him the right amount, but then he said he wasn't going to come back anyway because he had all of these like jobs lined up. And he did seem for a while there that he was Hollywood's big leading man. Like, he hosted Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Off the back of one show, which is
no one does
unbelievable.
And he was also in talks to be the new Bond. There was all the stuff about how he was a front runner to be a Bond.
I do feel like any handsome man that wears a suit well on a red carpet has Bond claims slung at them.
Exactly.
He'd be great, though. He'd be a great Bond. I mean, I like to think. In the look, maybe not in the delivery.
I mean, the thing is, like, it's hard because he went away to do all these big projects, and there was so much buzz around him. And then his first movie that came out, the Dungeons & Dragons movie, did you see it? No, Bree didn't see it? Okay.
You
didn't see it?
Absolutely
not.
not.
Well, I saw it. It was bad. But everyone, this is the problem.
You saw it, so we didn't have to.
Exactly. The thing is, like, this is what I mean. I think he just got some bad advice, and people say Hollywood is a gamble. Like, sometimes when you sign on to stuff, you just don't know what's going to take off and what's not, because I think he thought with Dungeons & Dragons, because that's already such a huge property, that was going to launch him into leading a franchise. But that movie came out, people didn't love it, and it kind of just forgotten very quickly. And then he did like a Netflix series, and that was forgotten very quickly. And then there was just a long empty part of his IMDb where, like, I'm sure he was just in sorrow that he'd walked away from Bridgerton, because the whole thing was his thinking, which I kind of understand. He was like, my career is so hot right now. People love me after the first season of Bridgerton. Why would I waste 6 months of my life on the film shoot just to be in the background of other people's stories?
A backbench character from season 2 onwards, which is, I guess, fair.
I know, but then everyone's like, but Jonathan Bailey did it. He did his season.
So much. He's doing Jurassic. Come on.
Yeah. I know. Well, that's the thing. People kind of think is that Jonathan Bailey has the career that Regé would have had if he'd stuck around.
I agree with that.
Do you think so?
Well, not in that, like, Jonathan stolen roles out from
Regé was supposed to be Fiona.
I don't think he was going to be Fiona.
He was that scarecrow.
Can that man sing? Do we know? Would it even
matter?
But I
do think that with any kind of, show like Bridgerton, you do get one, you get the ones that are like the front runners that get those roles and become the leading man. They can't all be a leading man, right? Jonathan Bailey is that guy.
Yeah.
And really, maybe, like, it's not like Regé hasn't had the chances. He's out there, he's auditioning, he's either not getting them or the ones he's getting aren't translating so well. So do we love Regé, or do we just love the Duke?
Well, that's what I think. I think it does come to the fact people just love that character and that storyline, and he's very smouldering in it. But, like, would we know? And please, no one come for me. I'll have to change my dress after this. Is he that good in that part, or is it just I don't think he's a great actor. I said it. I don't think he's a great actor.
I actually.
But So are lots of hot people in Hollywood, not great actors, and I don't hold it against them.
No, I tend to agree with
There's
you.
a place for just hotness in the world. That's fine.
Well, and this is a situation where I do think the hotness did a big lift. Yeah. The hotness carried
the hotness is like working in the background.
The hotness was working. I mean, that role, the Duke is almost a modelling role in some ways. Yeah. It's very posy. We're smouldering. We're doing the sexy shoots. I don't think it's like one that you've got to really go method, put it that way, to bring that character to life. So whether that means you can translate to actually playing other roles, I don't know. Yeah. And I mean, some could say this rom-com maybe doesn't require huge acting chops either.
Oh, his hotness is like, I'll come out of retirement to do the heavy lifting again.
He came out of retirement in the trailer where his abs are out and he's standing in the vineyards and there's like water trickling down on him. And he was like, yeah, I still got it, you know?
I mean, look, give that hotness an Academy Award because it is doing the most work there.
Yeah, well, his hotness is well and truly coming out of retirement because he's got another rather sexy project in the works at the moment, doesn't he?
Yes, he's firmly back in the Netflix family, which I guess is fair enough because that's where he found fame. So Regé is actually going to star in and executive produce a new series called Hancock Park. So that series will be about a Los Angeles high society family who is struggling to hold on to their status. That's all we know at the time, but it looks like it might be another big show for him on Netflix. So a part of me, I do feel like people really like mock and laugh at him, which I feel bad for the hot man that people
I don't feel that bad.
People kind of acting like his career tanks, but also that first burst of fame, like you've got to really make the right choice there. And I think a lot of people don't. And I wonder if all the people around him were like, don't go back to Bridgerton. It takes you out of the game for 6 months to barely be in it. Go and star in this big franchise, which for anyone else would be a safe bet. Because I mean, the Jurassic Park movie was pretty terrible that Jonathan Bailey was in, and he's not good in it, but he had kind of enough goodwill to push past that.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he's going to star with Halle Bailey in this rom-com because she's had a similar sort of trajectory in terms of having that big breakout role with The Little Mermaid. And she didn't do a lot before that I knew of. I know she had a YouTube duo, like she was doing music with her sister Chloe, and they had a duo and that was like big on YouTube, but I hadn't seen her in anything mainstream before that. So it's sort of interesting that she was much like him, seemed to be destined for success in the Hollywood world, and then it doesn't quite seem to have turned out that way, does it? Up until now anyway.
Yeah, I feel like her story, I feel like is it more of a kind of a serious one of kind of like what can happen to young women in that spotlight. As a side note, I feel like it's really surprising that you didn't know who Halle Bailey was before this because you do seem like the target market for her.
I have gaps in my knowledge. What did I say? I do understand why you would say that though.
She's like squarely in that kind of like teen music part. Did you guys see the live action Little Mermaid with her in
absolutely.
it?
Yeah.
I thought she was incredible, but there was such backlash for many reasons. Obviously, the terrible one was that a lot of people were like, we don't want a woman of color playing this role. That's not historically accurate to the fictional mermaid character that she is. And also people saying that she just like had been given it as like kind of a like a woke kind of thing and that she wasn't a good actress. Even though the directors said that they saw so many people for the role over and over again, they kept coming back to her. And I thought she was really great in it.
She was actually incredible. And her voice is so beautiful. I don't know how anyone who saw that and heard her sing Part of Your World didn't walk away and go, you know what, she deserved this role. Because she was beautiful in it.
I'm convinced a lot of the backlash was from people who didn't even see the movie because even when they announced the casting, everyone was like, but you know, in the quintessential animation, I'm like, the animated half-fish woman was white. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a lot of plot holes there. I also wonder if because she's so got a really beautiful singing voice and she's so good on screen, but I feel like she doesn't have that kind of big movie star personality that we demand from actors on press tours now to go on a press tour and like tell these crazy stories or like be really over the top or have these little gimmicks. And I remember when I interviewed her and a lot of other journalists interviewed her, she was just like very quiet, very reserved, quite overwhelmed as you would be. Like it was when I interviewed her, it was her and Melissa McCarthy together, and she was polite, but she was looking down. She kept looking over to Melissa before she answered. She would kind of do like a little nervous laugh, and I just wonder if like because TikTok and social sells movies now in such a way because she was shy on the press tour, she was kind of punished for it a little bit.
You know, I had a similar experience interviewing her as well, and I felt actually she was just so nervous to say the wrong thing because she had been so attacked.
Yes.
And I think going into anything where you are on the world stage like that and you've already been like teared down, it's so overwhelming for a young woman particularly. And I think we've seen the same with Rachel Ziegler with Snow White. I kind of actually feel like, and I love a live action Disney movie, so I don't want them to stop because I do personally enjoy them.
Really?
But I don't know if they're the best for the careers of the actresses that score those princess roles.
I do wonder if that's kind of the vibe now, because at first it felt like the golden ticket. Like, you get into Disney live action, that's going to launch your career. It's a surefire bet. And now, because people have such, like you're saying, have such a hold over these fictional characters, there's no way to please everyone with the way you interpret it, especially because they want to stick to these really old school fairy tales, and people don't love the new ways that they're being done.
Yeah, and she really went through it as well, because she got pregnant and not that long after, and she got a lot of backlash during that phase as well, in that people were really mad that she kept the pregnancy to herself and were sort of coming for her, being like, you were gaslighting us and lying to us, because she didn't announce the pregnancy. She waited till the birth of her child, which I believe was in January last year. And that was quite strange. The reaction that she got from that seemed like a very big reaction to something that isn't that huge of a deal.
Yeah, there were all these things around. And one, yeah, you're right, people being really angry because it had kind of leaked that she was pregnant a few months before she gave birth, which again, that's kind of horrific having that out there. So her whole, like, her Instagram pages and her social pages were filling up people saying, we know you're pregnant, stop hiding it, stop being ashamed, just tell us. There were all these blind items written about it. And then when she did say she had a baby, there was this kind of like backlash from fans saying, you've let us down, you were meant to be this big star, you're promoting, like, she wasn't a teen, but like, you're promoting, like, you know, young pregnancy and women giving away up their lives to become a mother, like all these kind of things. Basically, people felt betrayed that she didn't tell them, and then they felt betrayed that she had had a baby at all. And I feel like she just stepped completely back from the spotlight and was like, I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah, it does feel like she's gone through a lot for having sort of had this one main big movie where she was in the mainstream. She's copped a lot, and she's spoken out about it and basically said, like, I've learned from that spotlight over the past few years. If I'm being honest, I've been burned by it too, as we all have. And then she sort of said, you know, I didn't want to talk about my perfect little baby because that was like my happy place. And I didn't want to sort of put that up and expose that to the world to also be torn down in a way. So she has really been through it, and I hope that this movie could maybe be a step towards like a nice happy
I feel like
phase.
she just needed a bit of time to, I mean, again, we're speaking at this person we don't know, but it's like, of course you're not going to tell people you're pregnant when they're the same people who were tearing you down. And then she had to get a restraining order out against the father of her baby because he physically assaulted her multiple times, and there's all these other allegations that are in the court papers, but that was a huge thing. So again, I feel like there's a whole fandom of people who have now seen this movie. I know we were laughing at it, but we're all going to see it, obviously, probably multiple times. I think it's nice that she's not come out on the other side of it because we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But I think it's nice that she sort of was able to step away from the spotlight, deal with all that personal stuff, hopefully get a step away from all these haters, and then come back and like be able to go make a big screen movie and work on other projects and maybe release music.
Yeah, so maybe this will be the I don't know if I should say comeback, because I guess it hasn't been that long for either of them.
Perhaps a stepping stone. I do really want the best for her because I think she's talented, she's gorgeous, and I would love to see her in more.
Yeah, and she got to kiss Regé. I mean, that's great.
It's the dream.
Right? She's had a lovely time, and he's just there with his hotness. The two of them on the press tour, I think, might be fun. Maybe they'll be less kind of, you know, because they've already been through these two traumatic, like, different markers of their career. Maybe this time they're just having a lovely time with their rom-com.
Yeah, they might bring out the fun side of each other. Yeah. Like, we never know. But we'll be front row anyway.
We will. And who doesn't love love?
Yeah.
Especially in Tuscany.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Elizabeth Olsen is on the press trail for her new movie Eternity at the moment. More of that to come on the spill later this week. In a new interview with The Times, she was asked about her family and her childhood and how she grew up. And she talked about being the youngest of four. So if anyone's not across, Elizabeth Olsen is the youngest of the Olsen children. So we have James, and I only know his name because of the defunct clothing line, Elizabeth and James.
Yeah.
But more, I'm sure he's having a lovely time at the spotlight, letting his famous sisters shine. But most notably, her older sisters are the Olsen twins, Mary, Kate, and Ashley. So she doesn't talk about them too much, but they do come up in interviews, and I think she's sometimes got some very set answers prepared. So she was talking about growing up as the youngest of the kids and how it was very calm and how she didn't want to get into acting immediately and kind of stayed out of the spotlight as a kid, especially because she was watching her sisters be on Full House and then make 20 movies and have a clothing line and kind of be these big moguls at the age of 5. And this is the line that's been pulled out that a lot of outlets are running with, I guess, to make it sound like there's like a bit of drama behind the scenes, is she said that her twin sisters were forced to support her acting career early on. If you look at the headlines, it looks like they were forced to put her in movies, forced to like support her, you know, give her money, all that sort of stuff. But if you read the full interview, it's like they were forced to come to my school plays and talks about them being very supportive. But I guess Olsen twins is like a lightning rod for gossip, right?
Of course. And every time she does an interview, she's going to be asked about her famous sisters. It's the connection that everyone anchors her to. And it's like a child of famous actors. You know, as soon as they are in front of an interviewer, they're going to ask about what it was like growing up with famous mom and dad. Well, in this case, it's the Olsen twins who were on our screens since like my whole childhood was watching the Olsen twins. So I want to know about them. I can't blame others. You know, I've interviewed Elizabeth Olsen myself, and of course, I asked for gossip about the twins.
Did she give you any?
I want to know. I mean, you know, a little bit. They're her sisters, but you're not going to get like major gossip from her. She knows what she's doing. But I do think this is interesting, and I think for people to pull this out, the Times to pull this out and to say, oh, she was, you know, they were forced to support her. I mean, what, by going to her plays? But isn't that just what siblings do?
Yeah, I think it's very much like we're just even more desperate to know about this famous family than other famous families, because I think there's other families where there's that whole nepotism thing of like the mum and the kids or the brothers and sisters, but they're all doing interviews, they're all on red carpets, they're all sharing things on Instagram, so it doesn't feel as scandalous. But the Olsen twins have disappeared so incredibly well from view. They don't do interviews, even like for their fashion label, The Row. It's like no cameras at the fashion shows, no images come out. They're rarely seen around New York. They're rarely seen at events. They don't post on social. So I think the thirst for information about them is so intense.
There's that intrigue there, right? Well, it's interesting because I think now they're definitely fashion designers before they are actors, whereas they grew up being actors. But people change what they want to do.
And I guess now with Elizabeth being out doing the press tour, she's like this pipeline of like secret information to them, because everyone's been wondering what the ins and outs of their lives are like for so long. Even though she always says like growing up, she tried very hard to sort of keep it separate. And she was always like, if I make it as an actress, I don't want to be Elizabeth Olsen. I want to be Elizabeth Chase, like her middle name, to sort of keep that separation and not be a Nepo sister.
I hate when actors say that. No shade against, right? I mean, the thing is, you can't actually hide who you are. So I know that part of the interview, she says that she was always going to audition as Elizabeth Chase. But here's the thing, is like everyone knows that she's Elizabeth Olsen. Yeah. It's like when Kate Winslet was talking about her daughter Mia getting her first big acting role, and she's booking all these TV shows and movies. And when Kate was asked about it, she was very proud, of course, being a mum. But she said, oh, the great thing about it is that she's a different last name to me. So no one knew who she was. And I was like, Kate Winslet, I know what your daughter's name is. And that's only a real weird parasocial, like I know that your daughter's name is Mia Threapleton. And if I know that, you telling me that because her father's a famous director, again, so you've got Nepo-ing on two sides.
You're also like, maybe that would help her with getting auditions anyway. Like you could introduce her at a party. It's not all about the name.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure people know what she looks like. So I understand why they do it, because everyone wants to be like, they earned on their own, they did on their own. But I think the name thing isn't or like Matthew McConaughey recently saying that his son Levi got a role in his movie because he auditioned under a fake name. And again, I'm like, so I'm not a stalker, but you take your son on red carpets all the time. If I know what your son looks like, the producers of the movie you've been working on for years know what your son
directors know. Exactly. It's interesting because also Elizabeth Olsen looks like her sisters.
Yeah,
she's a lot. The spitting image of her twin sisters. I don't think there's any hiding it. She can choose whatever last name she wants.
Yeah.
She's an Olsen through and through. It is interesting what you say about the sibling thing, because I feel the same about the Culkins, right? So obviously when, you know, because Macaulay went into hiding a bit as well, like the Olsen twins did. But then, of course, Kieran's had this illustrious career ever since. He's a loose cannon, unlike Elizabeth. So, you know, you can ask him anything and he'll blab. But it it is interesting with the sibling thing.
Yeah, how that kind of, because I think it sometimes works just as much as being the Nepo baby of famous parents. And I don't think it's going to make or break your career. I think you still have to get on the set and do a good performance and carry a franchise or carry a movie, but it still gets you in the room, and that's the hardest part. Yeah. And the thing with Elizabeth Olsen is I would never have sort of even this would have entered my head if she hadn't sort of brought it up and said I was going to hide my identity, but I didn't.
Yeah, there's a bit of an art to being a Nepo baby or a Nepo sibling, I think, and it's not going to the extreme of wanting that separation, because some people carry it very well. I mean, with Elle Fanning and Dakota Fanning, I definitely now think of themselves. I mean, at the time when she was becoming famous, I probably thought of Elle Fanning as Dakota's younger sister, but now I just think of Elle Fanning as Elle Fanning.
Yeah.
And I just think, there's a bit of an art to how you navigate it, because if you don't go ham on the fact that you wanted that separation, people are less likely to critique you for it.
How do you feel about Elizabeth now? Because I do see her as Elizabeth Olsen, the actress. I know that she is the Olsen twins' sister, but she's had quite a decent career.
Yeah, to me, I feel like there's enough separation there, especially because they're so in this fashion world now that it's not their movie's coming out and her movie's coming out. There's quite a bit of distinction.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see her as a standalone actress now. Because again, I think the Nepo thing gets you a few roles, but it doesn't kind of elevate you to where she is now without having that level of talent. It's kind of interesting because whenever she drops little things about her sisters, but I think she's a lot more reserved now. I think people are pulling this out just because they're hungry for any kind of information. But do you guys remember she was on a talk show or a podcast? They asked her which of her sisters she's closest to. And I remember listening and I was like, oh, she's not going to answer that. And she goes, well, let's just say it was just my birthday and Ashley texted me and Mary-Kate didn't. And that's such an easy sister thing. I've got two sisters. We would say that. But I remember that really blowing up into a thing of Ashley is the favorite sister and Mary-Kate and Elizabeth don't get along. And I'm sure afterwards she was like, oh my God, my sister forgot to text me for my birthday. It's fine. I'm sure she'll get to it. Or when she was signing paparazzi photos in front of her hotel and a paparazzi stopped her and said, you're so much nicer than your sisters. And then she walks away. Then she turns back around and she goes, yeah, because you tortured them their whole lives and then walked away.
Oh,
and she doesn't usually say stuff like that, but I think every so often she gets pushed.
You know what she did say on a show once that always stuck with me, which was advice she got from her sisters, which was that no is a full sentence.
Yeah.
And that has always stuck with me. Yeah. I didn't really take it on board myself until recent years. I wish I had, but I love that they lived by that and that's how they've done their career and that she's taken it on board too, because it's really interesting.
I'd also love to just be a fly on the wall in their family group chats after these various revelations come out. When, for example, she said that she's closer to Ashley than Mary-Kate. I'd love to know, do they all just sort of, is there a bit of awkwardness or are they all just in the family group chat? Why'd you have to answer that, Elizabeth?
Do you know, I get the vibe that they don't have a family group chat. Or they do, but the Olsen twins aren't in it. Or Mary-Kate's not. She's definitely the oddball. The only superpower I have, the only good thing I have is I can always tell celebrity twins apart. Even
That's not
identical
your only superpower,
ones.
Laura Brundage. You also know every celebrity's child's name.
I know, two useless facts. But I just think that I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that Mary-Kate's not in the group chat or that they don't have one because there's something about them that's so weirdly old school, cool, and I don't know. I reckon they're dialing on the old home phone, if anything.
I kind of feel like Mary-Kate just wouldn't care.
Yeah, I get that too. It's not, again, they have kind of, because they've stepped so far away from the spotlight, unless there was some, the allegations against the Olsen twins when they were running their business, some of the allegations from the interns, they were treated really badly. I feel like that's the first time they didn't make a bunch of public statements, but I think that's the kind of first time they really jumped into action because their reputation as business owners was at stake and the reputation of the business they had built. But apart from that, I think they don't care what is out in the world and what people say about them because they're not public facing anymore and they don't rely on press to sell their products.
Yeah, if anything, I guess for Elizabeth, it matters probably more how these things come out and the way that she is now, especially fronting this movie, as opposed to how it is for them in their current era.
Yeah, because the row is famously so outrageously expensive as well that they don't even really need to appeal to the masses because they don't want us
they don't want us to wear the row or come in their shops. They would Mary-Kate and Ashley, if they saw me, they'd be like, we'd rather you didn't come in.
We're not the target
And I would say,
demo.
fair enough.
We're not worthy.
To be a fly on the wall of the Olsen house, would love to see it.
Love to be there this Christmas and hear what they've got to talk about. I wonder if they get the cruise cake.
I was just going to say, I wonder if they get the cake.
I don't know. Well, the Olsen twins wouldn't post about it. We're going to have to get it out of Elizabeth next time she's on a press tour.
Yeah. Number one question.